What I learned buying a new home in Waco, Texas. So 3 months ago, my wife and I closed on our new home in Waco, Texas, and I learned a few things in the process. And I mean, it probably helps that I am a real estate professional, very knowledgeable in Texas real estate, and new to Waco though, completely new area. So in this video, I'm going to share the insights that I learned in my own journey buying a new construction home in this area. That way, if you're considering Waco, Texas as your next move, hopefully some of these insights would be helpful for you as you're taking those next steps forward and doing your research. And by the way, if that's what you're doing, you're gonna wanna make sure you're subscribed to this channel because I'm gonna share some more insights in future videos. I'm even gonna showcase new construction inventory coming to the market and some of the hottest housing options and communities that are coming on the radar here. So make sure you don't miss it. But in the meantime, let's dive into what I learned buying a new construction home here in Waco, Texas. So first, let's talk about the local real estate market. So as of lately, the real estate market has cooled off in a major way compared to the climb in values we saw from 2020 to almost 2023. If you look back in charts that kind of chart the prices of homes locally here, you're going to see that there was a accelerated climb for 2 going on 3 years between those two points in time. And what happened though is people were having to kind of chase up the market on the buy side. It was very hot, very competitive on the buy side for a while, and it has since cooled down because that peaked around 2023 but hasn't really gone up drastically since. In fact, there's some people out there that bought homes in 2021, 2022 while the values were running up that they don't necessarily have equity built up at this point because they used a low down payment option and the homes haven't really gone up in value depending on where they bought it at. And so some people are getting to a point where they're wanting to sell, but they feel like they're stuck because if they did sell, they would have to bring, they'd have to write a check at closing if they don't have equity built up in it. So I've seen that happen a few times lately with people that have raised their hands and expressed wanting to sell. And then we look at the numbers, we figure out, okay, your home's not really worth more than you bought it for at this point. It's not that the values have dropped significantly. The market just hasn't gone up since that point because we had accelerated growth for a few years. I mean, there was far more than 2 years worth of appreciation in that window of time there. And so what also is happening though is lots of new builder inventory is coming to the market, and that's putting pressure on existing homes that are coming to the market, especially in the way of pricing. Because if you look at what you can get for the price, it's not significantly more to buy a new home. And in a lot of situations, it's very comparable as far as what the price is you would pay for a new home versus the equivalent new construction. So all else equal, do you want a used home or do you want a new home? I mean, really, do you want a resale home? But at the end of the day, your dollars go pretty far if you're looking for new construction here. And there's not a massive advantage, if any. Arguably, there's no advantage to buying a resale home. But I guess it just depends, tick for tack. Like, what neighborhood do you want? What home do you want? There's some great options that will come to the market resale-wise. But depending on your preferences and style, and if you really want that new home, I mean, you're not going to pay a substantial amount more for it. It's very competitive, with a lot of the builders, especially with what they're doing to try to incentivize you to get into a new construction home. And sometimes the builders have just more capability to do that than one person or one family that's selling their home might have the willingness to do. Now, the real estate inventory though, if you look at the market here, it tends to move a little bit slower than the bigger cities. And that's just something I've noticed from, I started my real estate career 9.5 going on 10 years ago in San Antonio, Texas, major market. Things move a lot quicker in a big market than they do in a smaller market of 200,000 people, thereabouts, like what Waco is. And I've lived in, now this is my third market of this size I'm within, and all of them moved slower than the big markets that I've seen and more accustomed to, at least in years prior. And so the thing to know about that, if you're buying, generally speaking, you have more time. But if you find the right home and opportunity, I wouldn't sit on it, because if you like it, there's a good chance someone else does as well. But that being said, it's usually a little less competitive than a major market if you're coming from a much bigger market area, at least depending on what real estate's doing in that local market, right? So rates though, as of the time of this recording, rates seem to be easing up, at least compared to more recent times, going back past year, 2 years, I mean, it tends to be, it's looking more favorable, although no one really has a crystal ball and knows for sure what rates will look like in the next few months. We can just see what's happening right now, and it seems that they are easing up a bit. And if you couple that with builder incentives, there are some great opportunities to get into a home for relatively low rate, if not incentives on the builder side of things, because they're trying to compete to get their home sold sooner rather than not. So as of the time of this recording, it's not uncommon to find incentives or rate buy downs or things being offered on the table to help you, if you're buying, get into a home with less dollars out of your pocket. And right now, market conditions are very much favorable to the buyer side of things compared to how it's been in the past 2, 3, 4 years. And that kind of goes back to what I started with. There was a quick climb in values from 2020 onward, but that really started to taper off in 2023. And right now it's more of a buyer's market locally compared to years past. So it's a great thing if you're a buyer. Not as great thing if you're a seller. You've just got to be more competitive, especially on how you're pricing your home, and you're competing with builders at the end of the day. So you really got to make it look the part and make it sparkle and shine and stand out amongst homes that others are walking into. And by the way, that's stuff my team and I can help with. We're very good at both sides of it. If someone's trying to sell, if they're trying to buy, and negotiate the best deal. But regardless, get in touch with us if we can help with something as you're prepping and planning your next steps. It's easy to reach us. Contact info in the description below. But one thing to know, and this might be one of my biggest takeaways in my personal experience buying our current home that we're in right now, is that if you look at Waco as a whole, the area spanning from Woodway to Lorena is a great place to look for newer housing and communities, because there's just a lot of newer developments that have been built out or in the process of being developed. And what that means is there's a lot of growth out this way. And in my opinion, it's a great location because of how close it is to all the amenities you're going to tend to need. And there's a lot of major employers that are in very close range to these areas too. If you look at the map as far as where the different manufacturers, distribution centers are, and other major employers, this is kind of, I think, in large part what's driving all the development out this way. But for instance, to give you an idea, you've got SpaceX literally launching rockets out in McGregor. And I kid you not, you can hear it and feel it even all the way from like Hewitt. And I hear the closer you are to McGregor, that the more you can feel it, for whatever that's worth. But they've got a rocket development facility and a test facility out that way. And also just some more interesting things I've learned about the Waco area in the process is everyone's obsessed with Magnolia. Chip and Joanna Gaines made a lasting impact on the local community here. And what that means is there's a lot of things to do that are kind of positive, upbeat, good vibes, but it does draw a lot of people from kind of all over the world that actually come and visit the area as a byproduct, which is kind of cool, I guess, depending on how you look at it. I think it's a cool thing to take friends and family or anyone that's visiting to. It's kind of the go-to spot to kind of show them around town and kind of what the buzz is all about. And then side note, something I've noticed whenever I'm traveling somewhere and someone's asking me where I'm from, and I tell them I live in Waco right now, it seems that about half of everyone outside of Waco associates it with the Branch Davidians, which even after 30 years, Waco is perhaps most widely known for being home of one of the most infamous cults in history, perhaps, which I'm sure you already know about that, but if you don't, I mean, you can look into that. But it's kind of a crazy story. But Waco, half of people not from Waco seem to associate it with cults, for whatever that's worth, or that one cult. But nonetheless, there are some cool things about Waco besides Magnolia, and in my opinion, it's Dr. Pepper, because Waco is home to Dr. Pepper. It was created back in 1885 by a pharmacist named Charles Alderton, and there's so much history there. In fact, I didn't even know this until I visited the Dr. Pepper Museum recently, but Dr. Pepper was created a year prior to Coca-Cola. And there's so much neat history. If you ever visit the museum, I highly would recommend at least spending an hour or two there exploring the history of it. As far as what else you need to know about Waco, I mean, if you're buying, you have great options, and you have the ability right now to find the right deal. And it's okay, at least if you're not in a rush, it's okay to kind of take your time and get to know the local neighborhoods, communities, get a feel for what you actually like. and then kind of wait for the right opportunity to hit the market, or otherwise see what opportunities the builders are bringing to market and see which one you want to pursue or even make your own. Because depending on what builder you're looking at, some of them will let you get more involved in the process early on. Others are more like built to spec, and some, it's kind of a mix in between. But if you want the best possible help navigating all of that, the easiest thing you could possibly do is reach out to me, literally send me a text or an email, and let me know kind of where you're at in the process of moving to Waco or assessing it as the next step in your journey. And I'd love to see how my team and I can best help and be your go-to resource here in the local market that's helping you best navigate all of it. But anyway, I hope that you found this video helpful and insightful. Again, I'm not speaking from theory, I'm speaking based on my own experience buying a new construction home here in Waco, Texas. And if you want some additional insights on why I chose the specific home and community that I'm living in right now, I welcome you to have a conversation with me. If you want to reach out, we'll schedule a call. I'll share some more insights. But I'm in a home with a builder that there were some aspects about it that stood out, and it ended up being a suitable fit for my wife and I. But in the process, I've learned a lot about the different builders and the different communities and the different options here in Waco. And there's some great options depending on what you prefer, what you're looking at. I mean, we even have a golf community if you're into that. So, there's different things for different people. There's lots to do. It's a fun spot. So far, we're loving our experience here in Waco, and it's been a good place to call home so far. And we're looking forward to what's in store in the time ahead. But again, thank you so much for watching the video. And if there's anyone that you know who might find the same information to be helpful for them, feel free to share the video. I'd love for them to have this insight as well. And until next time, again, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next video.